Good morning and welcome to the September 5th Reparations Committee meeting. We do not have a quorum at this time. We are going to go ahead and work through our agenda, avoiding any items for action, and we'll either table them to our next meeting if we don't have a quorum at that time. Hoping everyone has enjoyed and is enjoying the end of summer. Before we move on to our agenda, I want to make sure everyone has seen the flyers that were on the table over there and pick them up and engage in community opportunities for reparations. And as usual, to set the tone and priorities for our work on the Reparations Committee and to honor the work and the legacy of that in this city. We're going to start with our ancestral acknowledgement in a moment.
Oh, here it goes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your patience. Good morning. With great humility and deep gratitude, we honor the strength, endurance, and sacrifice of our Black ancestors. We honor those enslaved African peoples whose forced labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and the United States. We honor those Black ancestors who persevered despite the discriminatory laws and practices that created a racial caste system, legitimizing anti-Black racism, and continue to plague our community today. It is only by recognition and understanding of these errors begun during our nation's origins and continuing today that we can hope to correct our path. We acknowledge this exploitation of not only minds and labor, but of our humanity. We grieve for those Black ancestors who, despite their contributions to the city's wealth and freedom, were never recognized, fairly compensated, nor allowed to fully realize their own sovereignty. Because of their work, we are here and will invest in the descendants of that legacy. And through this process, we work to repair some of the harms caused by the city of Evanston. We also hope our focused attempts at reparations will serve as an example to the United States government and prompt other institutional accomplices to begin the process of repair.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. And I would like to add on the last part of that, the inspiring others, other communities, this nation and other institutions. Would just like to report back, we've been gone for a couple months for summer break, that our work continues to inspire national efforts. And there are many highlights to mention, but one I have to lift up is Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Tulsa, Oklahoma is a city that has recently signed by a mayoral executive order the implementation of a reparations task force, and the work will begin. They have been very inspired and learned from Evanston and are looking to craft their initial steps in the way that Evanston has. So if you do not know about the Tulsa Race Massacre, please do learn more about that and honor it in any way appropriate. And we're going to skip to A now, and we're going to move on to item 3. So our public comment today is moved up to the front of the meeting because today is actually scheduled for a listening session. We want to make sure that the work continues to be informed by the community. This work is to be community-led and informed, and it was starting in 2019 with community meetings that led to the introduction by initially the Equity and Empowerment Commission that went to the City Council and was accepted and approved by the City Council. And so in that same vein, it is a best practice of the process of reparations that it is informed particularly by the harmed community. But we are a diverse and inclusive community here, and we'd like to take this time to hear from the community on anything that you would like to share in informing, any sort of critique, reports, testimonies, questions, advice. And this is unlike public comment where we are not able to engage in dialogue. You can't expect a response at this time. And we have a list here. This is who signed up.
All right.
Okay. Oh, awesome. So we'll start with the online list. We have Joe Montgomery. And next we'll have Marjorie Leon. Yep. Joey. Next we have Sari Caddison Shapiro. Edith Woolridge. Edith Woolridge. Tracy Jones Richardson. Gloria Reese. Carol Bloom. Awesome. Thank you for being here, Ms. Bloom. If you could unmute yourself, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I think, hello?
Yes, good morning. We can hear you.
Good morning. I had a question. Do you know when the new applications will be out for previous residents of Evanston to apply so they can come back to Evanston?
Good morning, good question, thank you so much. So at this time, we are in a holding pattern to disperse the funds of the first set of program. So until we complete that program, we will not be looking at creating a new process. And we understand that that process will have to be refined and worked on, and we're doing that. But until we get through the almost 500 residents that completed the first process, we can't really open up a new process.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
And let's add that there's working groups that are working on additional ways of redress that may not be programmed in the way of our initial program. And so please follow the economic development, housing and education, the housing working group and the education working group. There is a housing and education resource expo that's happening this Saturday, September 7th, 9:30 to 2 p.m. at the high school. You can go online and register, and there will be more discussion about that later in the meeting. But there are other ways that the Reparations Committee and partners and friends to this work are looking to be a resource to the community in the meantime. Diana Martin Logan. Virginia Garrison. Virginia Garrison, if you can unmute yourself, please. Thank you for being here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning to the committee. As you all know, my issue with this whole situation was that I tried to sign my mother up and was unable to do so. And I'm not understanding why. And when I brought it to the committee in Ms. Carr, I was told that my mom would be taken care of. I was lied to for 3 months. Gone back and forth with some of the committee members. I've been berated, I've been lied to, I've been accused of trying to get in front of other people, and I'm just not understanding why this issue came up with me, because I had my mom's power of attorney and I had the right to sign her name on the application and also my name as a power of attorney, and get the information to you all, because the information that I signed up for myself, which was really for my mom, because I was told I couldn't put her name on the application, would have verified her also. So I'm not understanding why all this rigmarole and lying and accusing by the committee to me. Hello?
Yes, thank you for being here. This has been an ongoing challenge, and I share your disappointment that there is no resolution, but I think it is unique in that you were looking to apply on behalf of your mother. None of us were there to understand why the application wasn't submitted. And I can only recommend that you continue to work directly with the committee. I understand you did apply, though, yourself.
I had no choice but to apply for myself, which was really for my mother, because I was told by the person who took my application that I could not put my mother's name nowhere on the application. But legally, as her power of attorney, I could have put her name on the paper, signed it as a power of attorney, and then verify the information, which I was told I could not do by the person who took my application. Then I tried to speak with Ms. Simmons. I had texted her and called her, and I got no return. I also had spoke with Ms. Carr several times right after this happened. I did come and do the application with a cousin of mine, which I was told by one of the committee members that we were in cahoots together, and that she would be a viable person as a witness for me. So I'm not understanding all this that was said to me and done to me, and I just don't get it, because I don't think at this point that the ancestors are really proud of the committee and how they are conducting their business and how they are leaving out people. My mother is an ancestor. She's still living. She's still in her home, and she really needed the help. I wasn't looking for anything for myself. I wasn't going to apply personally for myself. I was only applying for my mother. And to be lied to by the city manager's assistant is really, and berated by other committee members and told that, oh, well, this committee member is going to handle you. Nobody handles me. This whole situation was really wrong, and it doesn't seem like you all want to rectify it whatsoever. You just keep pushing me off and saying things to me that are just unbelievable and very unfair and just doesn't look good, period.
Thank you. I'm going to thank you again for participating in the process. Virginia, I'm going to speak up for myself in my responses to both texts and emails and conversations in person. And your application, you are a direct descendant, and I know this committee looks forward to your disbursement that is forthcoming. Any further questions? I think we'll have to go to the law department at this time, but your application is in. I know that you have a number, I don't know what it is, but with that number, you will receive your reparations benefit direct, and you have the option to give it to your mother, since you were only applying for your mother. And that sounds like the best option right now. But any further comment about this needs to go directly to our law department. Thank you.
Or comment to the law department and get in touch with them, and of course they're not returning my call either.
Thank you, Ms. Garrison. You can contact the law department if you have a phone number. We can also put it in the chat It's 847-866-2937, and you can ask for Alexandra Runny. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Layla Lomas. Or Leila. Leila. Ms. Tina Peters, and we have one more person, Ms. Payton, on the virtual list. Noel Cole.
Here.
Oh, perfect. Perfect, so we will actually move to our in-person list, and we'll start with Ms. Tina Payton. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to talk about several things today. First thing is Black people. Register to vote. And vote after you register. Our ancestors died for our right to vote. Use it. You complain about what's happening or not happening, but you're not voting. Participate in your own fate. If you don't like something in the nation, or even in your city in Evanston, then you need to vote. Get on a committee. Maybe you can become alderman or mayor and share your ideas. But if you don't play the game, get in the game, you won't win. That's what they say for lottery. It's the same thing. Also, I would like to talk about Liberty Bank. And I hope the committee will say how many loans they have provided to Black Evanston residents since the transfer of the money for the reparations. Also, how do we access Liberty Bank since they're far away? Some of us don't have transportation or means to get out to Forest Park. We need brochures and information on how to attain the money, accounts, CDs, loans, whatever they have to offer. I purposely advocated for our money to go to the Black Bank, so the Black Bank should be helping us. There was a discussion of a location possibly coming to Evanston. I hope that's still true, so it can be right here for our residents to use. So, since the reparations applications is not going to open again, we need to start using other alternatives. I know we've been having meetings, but here are some suggestions. How about some Evanston grant money for Black people? A lot of Black businesses that are in business and startup do not get help from the city of Evanston. Reparations in Evanston is to repair the harm by the city of Evanston. Then we need to repair. So how about some grant money for businesses and startups? Although we love Hickeys, Good to Go, and CNW, they are not the only Black businesses in Evanston that continuously receive grants from the city. Therefore, reparations should step in. No disrespect to any housing opportunities, maybe on Saturday. But we need more than that. Housing is very expensive nationwide, but especially in Evanston. So we need more support. Education. We need training in trade schools, vocational, for our Black men and women. We need mentorship, starting in high school and beyond. Some of our Black youth get lost during high school and after high school. And some do not elect to go to college, and maybe it's not for them. And they could be productive citizens in this community and elsewhere with a little help. The Fifth Ward School is nice that you're discussing, but by the time that the school is built, the Black population in the Fifth Ward and in Evanston will be almost obsolete. We need to take charge, Reparations Committee and the City of Evanston right now. The question that I have been asking to our city officials for a long time, who in the city of Evanston, downtown Evanston, owns and operates commercial real estate in downtown Evanston besides the Robinsons? Let's pay attention to that. In all of downtown Evanston, commercial property, including tall skyscrapers, besides one family who, Black person, owns the building, not rent, owns and operates the building. Something is wrong with that. I've been at several meetings recently about new development. They're talking about all these apartments they're building. I was at one last night, and I was the only Black person in the room. These rentals are not attainable for our community, and they have no intention on making it attainable. Reparations should be supporting equal and fairness. There should not be only white and Asian that's able to afford downtown Evanston. Ownership. What happened on Wesley with the 3 buildings that were condemned should not ever happen again. That should not happen again. That was a disgrace to this community. Reparations should make sure that this does not happen again. The demise of Jackson and Emerson with no plan to relocate people in the Black community back to there is a disgrace. Even though I nor anyone in my family has received reparations, still here and I'm still advocating. And you need to do the same. My neighborhood was taken at Emerson and East Railroad, just east of Ridge, was taken by the city for eminent domain. Eminent domain gentrification needs to stop now, and reparations should be behind it to stop it. This should not happen again. Regardless of how you feel about me or my family, we have provided affordable housing for over 100 years. I say 50 usually when I talk, but it's over 100 years. My family has lived in the same place while they decimated the rest of my black neighbors. My grandmother used to rent to black students that went to Northwestern because they did not have an opportunity to live anywhere else in the city. We live on a legacy block with the Emerson Street Black Y and the first Black Livery Butler building. And there's no remains. It's a tall high-rise called E2. We took families and continue to take families, black and Latino most, when white people wouldn't rent to them. We continue, even though we've never had any support by the city of Evanston, any organization, or the reparations. The last thing I want to say, my father worked hard with my mother to make a way for black people in affordable units. And I'm going to say, I honor his name. Rest in peace, my father. He's not with us. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for always representing. We have heard everything that you said. I'll give a couple of remarks and then I'm going to ask Councilmember Burns to prepare to give any update on the Wesley matter and Committeewoman Lockhart to give an update about the housing fair and as it relates to Liberty Bank. I don't think it's a bad idea to get any type of report that is appropriate, at least updates on if the community has been engaging in the services that they're offering, and have more of a ongoing invitation to them to be in community spaces to share their programs. I have no clue about how many loans. That's not, we don't endorse them or direct people to go to them. They've made themselves available as a resource for their financial products and services. So we don't have that information, but I do think it makes a lot of sense to make sure they know about tabling opportunities in the community and so on. I also don't have any update about a local branch. I will follow up on that. But to your point about other forms of repair and ways that we could be doing work now, I want to say, Tashik, if you could get economic development at our next meeting to make sure that they're updating the community on all the grants, because I even saw this when I was in office, that there are a lot of grants and opportunities and programs that are being underutilized and not accessed because we don't have the information So if we could have a report from economic development on all of the programs that are available to the community now. There's also a Black business arm of the chamber. We'll see if they have any updates that they could share as well. And then instead of holding our working group reports until the end, I think they all respond to your concerns. And so I would love for our working group leaders to be prepared to give a update on the work that's happening within those committees. But first, if we could start with Committee Member Lockhart to let us know what to expect at the housing fair as it relates to some of those resources.
Well, good morning, everyone. The Housing Working Group Committee has worked very hard to bring forth this Housing Education and Resource Expo this Saturday, September 7th, from 9:30 until 2:30. And there's going to be a myriad of resources, vendors. In fact, we have 20 vendors that will be there. Anything from lending agencies to credit repair agencies to construction groups and many, many others. But what's also great about this event is that we're going to have breakout sessions, and I think there are 5 of them, that will talk about things like wills and trust and preparing for housing, buying a house, and just a benefit to anybody who comes. So I want to strongly encourage people to come, and also just to thank the committee here for all of the hard work. And if you guys come on Saturday, you will not be disappointed.
Thank you for that. And Councilwoman Harris, can you give us an update on what's happening with education?
Thank you. So right now we are in a stop pattern. We started a process. We were looking at trying to connect with African day schools in the city and trying to figure out, instead of recreating processes that are already out there. So we're in a pause. We couldn't get in contact with a couple institutions, but we are looking at restarting. Again, we went down a kind of a rabbit hole and got stopped. So we've been stop, start, stop, start. We don't have any progress. We've learned some things, but we don't have anything to share at this time. So we apologize for that, but we're still working.
Awesome, thank you. And then we have Committeewoman Attorney Claire McFarland. If there is an update to share from the working group that you're leading, and then next we will have Councilmember Burns with any updates on the Wesley matter.
Yes, we similarly have had some false starts and with our group. We're trying to sort of regroup and get direction. But I want to share with the committee an offer that we had from a member of our Evanston Black community, from Steve Rogers, to hold, if we had different events with our, either the committee as a whole or with our subcommittees, that we were welcome to use the meeting space that he acquired when he got the Christian Science Church. I will try and find the address and share it with the committee members. But I just want to thank him for the offer of that resource, and I believe that's something that we will be utilizing with our community unity group and the different events that we have around there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm actually going to be dropping into all the working group meetings. She's going to work with me to get that scheduled. And Ms. Payne, you always inspire me with the way you push us and your heartfelt comment and your legacy relationship to Evanston. And I think that I'll even take responsibility and I'll do more. So I would love to re-engage with the MWEBE committee. So I don't know if you attend those meetings or not, and I don't know if there's any positions open to apply, but I could participate just as a resident. And so, can anyone let me know when those meetings are? 18, okay. Are they hybrid optional or no? Okay, perfect. And so to really second Ms. Payton's point about civic engagement, that goes far beyond voting in this presidential election. These boards, committees, and commissions is where the work is done, is where policy is really developed, is where the recommendations come from. They don't start at the city council. They are introduced at the city council and voted on at the city council. Boards, committees, and commissions are every member's right. You can apply. I recommend that you go online to thecityevanston.org and look up the list for special interest areas. There's everything you could think of, from equity and empowerment to environmental justice to police oversight, Parks and Rec, everything you can think of, including this is a committee. So you have the right to lend your voice. The process is pretty easy. It's a simple application. It goes to, the mayor actually makes the appointment. We have one thing that's been consistent in Evanston is the professional courtesy between the mayor and the council people in the community. So recommendations are very heavily considered by the mayor. The mayor makes the appointment, the city council approves it, and then you have a voice. You have you are part of a governing body for that committee that decides on what's happening with economic development, what's happening with housing, what's happening with block grants. That's even, isn't there a committee for that?
No, it's quite, yeah.
But either way, you can lend your voice and it will go with a recommendation to the city council to be determined there, and you need to exercise your vote ultimately, as Ms. Payton has stated. So please do consider your voice, especially as we are looking at reparations and we're looking at equity and inclusion and who is informing the way we govern and what our values are. That only happens with inclusion and voices. So we need as much participation on boards, committees, and commissions, and not just on the reparations. That's obvious what we're doing. But inclusion, empowerment, sort of the lived Black experience, or whatever that is important to you, that voice needs to be lifted up in Parks and Recs discussion. Like, how are we designing our parks? Which one are we prioritizing to fund next? I mean, all these things play a role in the ultimate outcomes and how we all enjoy the lived experience in Evanston. And so that's going to be my plea, that the community does consider that. It was my first introduction to community leadership, was boards, committees, and commissions, and they're really undervalued, let me just say that. And I don't know if there's a lot of openings right now, so there's a lot of openings I'm hearing from our leaders, and I would love to hear from Councilmember Harris on more about the openings.
So I don't, thank you. I'm not sure, but if you go to our webpage, each committee will tell you what seats are available. It's usually a 4-year term for most of them, some are 2. So if you go to each page, it will show you where there are openings and how long that appointment is for. I know there's at least 3 committees, I think parking. Okay, so it is up. So it shows you the vacancies, the ethics. Oh, go. Hold on 1 second. So it says Board of Ethics has 3 vacancies, Equity and Empowerment has 1, Library Board has 1 vacancy, the Public Safety Civil Service Commission has 5, Reimagining Public Safety has 7, Social Services has 1, Housing and Community Development Committee has 2, Preservation Committee has 1, and Reparations has 1. So those are opportunities to further lend your voice. There's always opportunity with public comment and listening sessions to lend your voice and to also reach out to your council member, the mayor, the city manager. But you then have the opportunity, if appointed any of these seats, to sit at the table and make decisions and vote. So that is a more powerful way to use your voice.
I just want to say, I don't know if, could you put that back up? I don't know if that is, if it's a dormant committee, but it's no way
that public safety, civil service, and reimagining police safety committees between them should have that many vacancies, especially when there continues to be an issue of over-policing in Black communities. I'm sure it's much better than it was. I'm sure it is, especially with our current leadership. So I'm not talking about what's happening now, but I can tell you in 2019, when we started this work, 71% of the marijuana arrests in the city were in the Black community. At that time, we were 15% of the population. I doubt it's completely changed. I hope that it has, but these are the committees that really informs these types of process and these values. So thank you, Ms. Payton. Our condolences to you, your sister, your entire family. My prayers are with you. And if we have Councilmember Burns could give us an update on the Wesley project.
Yeah, just a few comments actually. The first one is, I don't want to contradict anything that was said. I've been telling people that we haven't made a decision on when or if we're gonna reopen the restorative housing program. So I just want to make sure that we're all communicating the same thing. So Chair, maybe you can.
That is accurate. So I think it was a similar statement from Councilmember Harris, but ultimately there is no decision on what is next. Those things all have to be determined at a committee level. And right now our priority is to disperse the 454 direct descendants. We'll see a report later that at least 70 of them have been dispersed and we have more to go. So that's the final answer. More work to come.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the headline that comes out of this tomorrow is accurate. What I've been saying is technically we will have money remaining, even when we pay out all the benefits to the remaining descendants. And so there's clearly more work to be done, and that a decision hasn't been made, on whether or not we're going to reopen the program, when we will reopen it, or whether or not we'll develop a new program altogether. So I just want to make sure I'm providing accurate information for community members. So that's the first thing. Secondly, to Ms. Payton's point, I think we all are in absolute agreement that what happened on Wesley should not have happened and it shouldn't happen again. The primary, let me give an update on the residents. So there were 19 households. I believe the last time I gave a report, I mentioned that everyone was safely evacuated from the buildings at that time. Some of the residents were in an extended stay in Skokie that the city has a relationship with, all paid for by the city, as well as being provided food stipends, storage assistance paid by the city, packing assistance, etc. At this point, everybody has been rehoused in Evanston, except for one person that has a VAS voucher, which my understanding is a voucher that's provided to people who have served in our military. And it's through CHA, Chicago Housing Authority. So this individual, my understanding is, had to move to Chicago, but will likely be able to port that voucher back to Evanston if that individual so desires. But everyone else was rehoused in Evanston, some in the 5th Ward, some in the 8th Ward, some in the 9th Ward. I believe everyone were rehoused in those wards. Everyone is under city subsidy for at least 2 years, which means that no one is paying any more than they were previously paying in rent, not 1 cent more. And for some, they've seen a reduction in their rent because we made sure that no one was paying more than 30% of their income towards rent, which is the standard in housing. If you're paying more than 30% of your income towards rent, you're considered housing insecure. So we had some people, especially our seniors on the fixed income, that were paying upwards of 50% of their income towards rent. And so they've seen a reduction in their rent. Let's update on the, and we continue our health department and connections to the homeless, continue to work with each household to make sure that we ultimately place them in permanent subsidized housing. Some have already found that because we were able to find them a unit that was affordable. And then some we need to continue to work with over the next 2 years. But we're confident that within that 2 years, we'll find permanent affordable housing, quality affordable housing for everyone. But right now, they are rehoused and they all are under city subsidy for at least 2 years. What led to this primarily, the primary issue that drove the need to evacuate the residents on Wesley is that there was only one way in and one way out of these buildings. And so the concern that was identified by now 2 separate independent structural engineering firms was that the stairs and balconies were in poor condition and at risk of collapsing, which of course could cause injury or death. And so this wouldn't have been as much of an issue if there was another way into the building, if there was a back door, back stairwell. That wasn't the case. This is a California style walk-up building. Most, if not all of them, have one way in, one way out. And so that's what made this a very unique situation. Very early on in this process, I asked our Community Development Department and Buildings Division to proactively inspect all of the California walk-up style buildings in the city of Evanston. That work is ongoing, and they should have a report soon. And then the last thing I'll say is, I think it's important that the city continues to both encourage people to file complaints when they see something in the building that they live in that's of concern, that we encourage people to file complaints, but also that we make it more difficult for housing providers to retaliate against tenants who file complaints, because what we hear often is that people are always concerned. Some tenants are concerned to file complaints because they feel like either their lease won't be renewed or there'll be some attempt to try to evict them. And I will point to our just cause ordinance that's being discussed is an ordinance, while we're still working on it and it's in draft form, but it's an ordinance that's trying to prevent, in part, housing providers from being able to not re-sign a lease, for example, just because someone has filed, warranted complaints in the past. So I'll stop there and happy to answer any questions, but those are a few thoughts, and we continue to discuss these issues in our Housing and Community Development Committee about how to continue to strengthen, all the different aspects that led to this issue.
Are there any questions for Councilmember Burns? Seeing none, we're going to move on to Noel Cole.
Good morning, everyone. I have 2 quick questions. One was, I know the committee is working really hard to get the first 80 recipients funded in 2024. And so my question was, are you guys able to share any projections on how you think that the other recipients will be funded over the next couple years? Based on real estate taxes that you believe that you'll get and the cannabis tax. That was my first question. And the second was, how do you think that the pending lawsuit will impact recipients that have already been approved to receive funds?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and answer. So the first part of the question is, I'll ask for an update on revenue projections and how we might disperse. And we started the program with that and didn't meet them because sometimes things are outside of our control. In the initial case, it was the Dispensary licenses rolled out slow, and so we thought we would have 3 dispensaries. We were operating with 1 until recently. So I'll ask finance to do and legal together to do the best that they can to give us some projections. We are fully funded to do the complete 80 this year. So that'll happen. They're not pending because of money, but they're making their decisions and that sort of thing. And then the second question was regarding the lawsuit. Fortunately, our corporation counsel is here, but I'll say before she takes the mic that disbursement has not been interrupted because of the lawsuit. And I don't know that there's more that can be said. So the commit. I have seen our law department, our staff, it's business as usual, and the disbursements continue to go out. Of course, we all believe the outcomes of the lawsuit will be in our favor, but until that is determined, there's no further comment on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here. And lastly, we have Ms. Vanessa Johnson McCoy. Where are your pom-poms?
Hi everyone, what I originally signed up for has already been discussed and is on the agenda. So, which is to invite everyone on Saturday to our amazing Housing and Education Expo, all things housing. And so I won't say a whole lot more about that, except that like ditto that the committee has been working really hard to ensure that anything related to housing basically will be covered, whether you rent and would like to consider preparing to buy. There'll be all kinds of resources and people there for that, including Liberty Day. And, or if you're a current homeowner, there'll be someone there that can talk about taxes and appeals and fixing, money to fix it up and how to find a good contractor, et cetera, et cetera. So all things housing, even HUD, housing counselor, so just all things housing. So please sign up on Eventbrite and come out, and I need volunteers. So if you are willing to volunteer for a couple of hours between 8:30 and 3, that includes setup to clean up, then please reach out to she. She's got a link that has all the duties and the time slots. So I won't take any more time, although there's many other things, good things that are coming that I will not disclose at this time that are closely related to the work being done by the city and reparations that I'm super excited about, that I won't disclose at this time, but I am super excited. Only more good things to come for Evanstonians, Black Evanstonians especially. So have a good day. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Vanessa. And so now we get the highlight of this meeting. And so we have a lot more business to go, but we have an absolute highlight. We have a special announcement. Item 4A is a celebration. We have a committee woman that is a daughter to the 5th Ward, a daughter to Evanston, that has served in some way as a public servant. I accelerated her to 30 years. It's not quite 30, but very close to 30 years. She has served in elected, appointed, volunteer roles. Even her employment role is a service to the community. She is a model of what it looks like to show up, to put your, to do the work, and not just have grievances, but actually do the work. This woman, Ms. Bonnie Lockhart, was one of the very first to raise her hand to do this very heavy work on the committee here. I don't know how many committees she served for over the years at the city. She may not even remember. But we have been very fortunate to have her leadership on this committee, one that is steady, that is collaborative, that is okay making hard, uncomfortable decisions, that is respectful, that is informed, and that actually shows up all the time and does the work. And I consider Ms. Lockhart a role model for me although we're probably the same age basically, but I do consider Ms. Lockhart really an example of what it is to serve your city and your neighborhood. We're neighbors right in the 5th Ward. And I personally can't thank you enough as the chair of this committee. You have answered every call and request, and you have raised your hand even when we didn't know what we needed. Your experience has held us together and advanced this work. So Before I give you the mic, I want to make sure that all of your colleagues have a moment just to share, and then we're going to present you something special.
You feeling overwhelmed? Well, you deserve it. On behalf of the city of Evanston, we say thank you for your service. It is very rare that you find somebody who will just step up and serve. And not very rare, I won't say that, because we have many people that do that. But when they do for so long, this work can burn you out. So we're very appreciative that you served, that you stayed in the community and that you served. You've been here longer than anybody on the city council, almost adding our time up. So it's a good thing, it's a good thing. So thank you so much for serving the community and as a whole. When you serve one, you're actually serving all. So thank you is never the right word or full enough, but we appreciate you to the fullest extent. Thank you so much.
And if any of our members online, committee members online, Claire?
Yes, I want to echo the comments of my other committee members, and thank you so much, Bonnie, for your hard work. I'm also going to say that to let everyone else know what the committee members know, which is that Bonnie is one of those few people that puts their hand and says, what more can I do? When some of us are feeling overwhelmed, she reaches out, and I don't know what I'll just speak for myself because she's been my reparations therapist. I hope that she'll continue just to lend an ear. This is hard work that we do, and just always be willing to assist with the work, willing to listen with grace, give good advice, emotional support, and logistical support. So thank you so much. I know that this is not goodbye, that you're going to stay engaged, and we're not going to leave you alone. But really wishing you the best too with the other endeavors that you're moving on to in your life. And thank you so much for the time that you have given to this community and to the city and the larger community. Thank you, Bonnie.
Any other comment?
Yeah, Chair, if I can just add on to that, Bonnie, I just want to thank you for really setting an example here in Evanston. Whether people say it or not, we're all watching each other, learning from one another, being motivated, inspired by one another. And whether you realize this or not, I know that you have directly influenced a lot of people in Evanston and have made them want to work harder, serve their community longer, and more selflessly. And I want to say thank you for that, for setting that example for so long, for always raising your hand to volunteer for different causes and to try to make a difference here in Evanston. This stuff doesn't work without volunteers. I always say that, whether it's a city committee, any volunteer effort, whether it's sports coaching, like this city doesn't, much of the good that happens in this community does not work if people like Bonnie don't raise their hand to volunteer and give it their all. So again, thank you for setting that example for so long.
But before that, we just want to say that the City of Evanston Reparations Committee, all of us, hereby awards the certificate of appreciation to Ms. Bonnie Lockhart in recognition of her time, commitment, and dedication, service on the Reparations Committee, and 30 years of community service to the Evanston community. It signed the entire committee, all of us, Tashik as well. Tashik, did you have any? Yeah, so thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, all of you so much. And I'm gonna try not to be emotional because this is, bittersweet. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the residents and in the community of Evanston. I mean, it was like a bug that bit me way back in 1997 when I first ran for alderman. And then I had the privilege of also taking Leadership Evanston, which also shared so much of what Evanston's work does. And I just want to say how much I enjoyed this. This work is a part of me. And I am grateful for the time I've been able to serve. I want to also just thank this committee as the last committee I've been on, and just for some of you who don't know, I've also been on the Commission on Aging, on the Evanston History Committee, on the school board, on the CETA committee, and all for long years, none less than 5 years. But this committee, Reparations, has been so near and dear to my heart, and I just thank all of the committee members for their support and their collaboration, and no drama. I mean, we have worked well together. And Peter Braithwaite's memory, his leadership, and now Robbins has always steered us in a way where we are taking action and making some good decisions. And then I want to thank the residents of Evanston. I want to thank them for their support for this committee, and for those people who have said thank you when they see me, or we're so grateful that you're doing this. And I just am appreciative of all of that. And so I don't like goodbyes, so this really isn't goodbye. It's until we meet again. I'll have to go to work.
Is someone taking a picture of us?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, and I am gonna let you rest. I'm gonna see you, and you're gonna rest. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna move on to our next agenda item, and we're gonna breeze through the rest of this. There is a vacancy. So the application is online. Tashik showed you where to get it. Please do reach out to Tashik directly if you have any more questions. We went through our working group updates there, discussion. We have our corporation counsel that is here, and we would like any update you can provide on the lawsuit.
Thank you, Chair Bruce Simmons. Just as a quick update, the city did file a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. The plaintiff's answer or response is due September 18th, and then the city will have an opportunity to reply, which is due October 2nd. So those are the current deadlines set by the court, and there's no other update at this time.
Awesome, thank you. Any question from the committee that is online or Councilwoman Harris? Okay, moving on. We need to discuss dates for our fall ancestor dinner that we have here to honor our ancestors. We do it to honor the recipients, and it's a beautiful, very special occasion. Did you have some proposed dates? Okay. I would say if you could give the committee, Councilwoman Harris, you really organized it. Would November be enough time to put something together like this and fundraise for it?
Yeah, I'm wondering, do we want to also include our descendants to, who we just dispersed?
So we talked about that because of how many of them being 454.
No, just the ones we dispersed so far.
Okay.
Only the people Yeah, just for funding.
Per se.
Well, we can talk about it.
Let's talk about, I mean, I think funding the dinner is, I love the idea, so let's talk about it more, but do we wanna look
Yes.
at dates in November? No?
I have a city conference, I'll be going November. I don't want to put it too close to Thanksgiving, because everybody's going to have a good Thanksgiving dinner.
Is this something we could do electronically,
Yeah,
or
pick some dates.
there's no like
Okay.
opening, yeah, so why don't
Okay, yeah,
we have more time to
I'll
think
send
about it?
something out, yeah.
Awesome. And then I did.
Could I just ask a quick question before we move on?
Yes,
I
please.
noticed we're continuing to title it the Ancestor Dinner, but my understanding is we're actually celebrating the descendant distributees at this time as well, is that correct?
That was mentioned, that maybe we will,
We haven't decided.
And have we, I know we were doing limited groups because of, I'm sorry, we were doing distinct groups because of the space. Have all the ancestors who are distributees, have they all been included in the dinner invitation at this point, or we're still working through that group?
this will be the last dinner to catch all of those that have not been invited for the first group of the 141.
Thank you.
And more discussion to come on that. I really loved how you organized the sort of launch of the direct descendants, and that was kind of celebratory. So we may even look to do something like a one-hit big thing for the descendants, but more discussion to come on that. And then I realized in my meeting with Tashik that we actually are on 5 years of this work. It was in November of 2019 that Resolution 126R19 passed the City Council, and it was actually in April of 2019 that the first meeting happened on a public agenda at the Equity and Empowerment Commission in April, and worked through a process through the summer. And so we really should acknowledge and celebrate the milestones that we've reached, understanding there's a lot more work to do. But I want to organize a committee. It's a great idea. So I want to organize a committee that comes up with some special way to recognize 5 years of that. And so I would like to volunteer to be on that committee. Anyone else volunteers, even from the community at large, if you want to volunteer to help us think about this, I have some ideas. You'll have better ideas. Please do contact reparations@cityofevanston.org, and the message will get to me, and we'll send out dates for that. Perfect. And so we have Councilmember Chrissy Harris as well. And now we're going to move on to item 7A through C. 7A through C. Tashik, please.
Yes, so as of September, city staff has contacted all ancestor recipients, and 132 recipients out of 141 have made their selection. There are 9 remaining, and I break that down why they are remaining. So 4 have requested just city staff hold off. There are 2 that are deceased and were unable to contact their family members. I did my research, contact community members, and 1 we're unable to contact, and there are 2 that their small affidavit are pending to claim their deceased ones.
If you could reach every committee person with that 1, and I bet we'll find them. I hope. It's worked in the past.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll find out who it is before we leave. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Attorney Claire. And yes, the rest of the report?
So as for funding, so for all the ancestors thus far, it's about $3,392,000 we have dispersed to the ancestor recipients. For the direct descendants, we have met with 71 direct descendants out of the first 80 for 2024. And they have all made a selection, and in total we have dispersed $1,675,000 for the direct descendants. So if you add the total, so around $5 million.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a big deal, yeah, I just have to say that, I know once we put things in place, any city puts something in place, it becomes part of the background, but I want to continue to celebrate everything we're doing. That's a big number.
Thank you for pausing to recognize that, because this has become our life, like it's almost become routine for us, and how special that our whole city has embraced it in the way that it has, but it's still a very big deal, still unique in this nation, unfortunately.
Thank you. As Councilmember Burns said, this is a big deal, and the city is doing their part. Of those 9, that's just on the community members making a decision, correct? So those 9 people step up, make a decision, and we understand there's background things, but that's amazing that of 400, and what's the exact number? I always say 500, 454 residents, we've been able to disperse and get setting for 71 of those people immediately. The first round was slower because of funding. There hadn't been the resolution from City Council to use real estate transfer tax dollars. So that's amazing. I think it's a step in the right direction. It's not the only step that we're taking, but 71 of 80 is a big number, and that's a big deal. And I hope our residents are pleased that we are doing the best that we can and making things happen. And we will continue to do that to get through the 454 people that we've made promises to.
Thank you, and with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? I thought you did all, thank you. Yes, please.
So as it pertains to our financial report, as of September, we have received $55,956 in donations to the Reparations Fund. One person made a $3,000 donation in April. And as for the real estate transfer tax, the $1 million that was budgeted has been transferred to the Reparations Fund for 2024.
Thank you. Is that all of our reports? Awesome. If there are no other comments from the committee, no? May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move for the adjournment of the September meeting.
Okay.
We don't even,
Right.
yeah, we don't even need to adjourn because
We didn't have any business. All right, so thank you all for being here. We hope to see you at the Housing Education Resource Expo. There's flyers over there. And please stay updated. Make sure that you sign up for updates at the City of Evanston for reparations updates, and apply for a board, committee, or commission. Thank you.